I recall the exact instant, as though it were permanently mounted within a clear display case. Her lips curved delicately, her voice modulated, completely. I extended an invitation to my former partner for my sister's wedding. He is a part of the family structure. If your affection for me is genuine, you will exhibit comprehension. I made no attempt to controvert her. I did not elevate my voice. I simply offered a slight smile. I am fully cognizant, and indeed, I was. Not in the submissive manner she anticipated, but with the calculated perspective of a surgeon analyzing the pathology of deceit, understanding the precise location for the incision, the necessary depth, and the moment to suture the wound to ensure the lasting scar tissue. We had been united in matrimony for 9 years. 9 years of hushed commitments, shared laughter reverberating off our common walls, a bond of fidelity that convinced me I was unassailable. She was my bedrock, or so my conviction held. However, infidelity never launches a frontal assault. It insinuates itself subtly, relentlessly. Like moisture permeating a secured barrier, the covert nighttime scrutiny of her phone, the partial smile whenever his name arose in mundane discourse, the subtle modulation in her vocal tone becoming lighter, more incisive when she pronounced his name, her former partner. Adam, the persistent specter. The evening she delivered her casual admission, my heart rate decelerated instead of accelerating. That singular physiological response confirmed that the emotional transformation was already complete within my psyche. I was no longer emotionally devastated. I had become a calibrating instrument. My initial actions were discreet. I compiled digital records, tracked social media interactions, and collected images that precisely verified their ostensibly innocuous shared luncheons. The collected evidence was insufficient to precipitate an immediate public rupture, yet it was sufficient, adequate to confirm that the truth would never be spontaneously disclosed. Subsequently, I located her former partner's spouse, a woman seemingly erased by digital silence. Her expression in the sparse photographs I could uncover was polite, but bore a distinct wariness. I hypothesized her ignorance. Treachery possesses a mechanism for confining its victims within isolated, unseen enclosures. I dispatched a communication to Diana, the wife. It was terse, respectful, and unequivocally candid. When we finally conversed, her tone was subdued and tentative. The disparate components of the situation quickly aligned themselves. My wife's former partner had exhibited profound carelessness, operating under the dangerous assumption that loyalty was synonymous with complete obliviousness. It was at this juncture that the entire counterplan formulated itself. I extended an invitation for her to serve as my designated guest to the rehearsal dinner. Initially, she let out an uneasy laugh, then became hesitant, before descending into a deep quietude. When the silence became protracted, I supplied the necessary affirmation. You deserve to witness what I have been seeing, to be overtly recognized, not perpetually obscured. The kind of validation her husband had, systematically withheld. Her response was a single, measured affirmative. The rehearsal dinner was initially executed with the conventional trappings of a formal event: crisp linen fabrics, the rhythmic clinking of crystal flutes, obligatory pleasantries meticulously performed for documentation. Yet, beneath the luminosity of the fixtures, a palpable tension vibrated, like a submerged current, a seismic shift only I could fully detect. My wife's former partner, Adam, entered with an air of unwarranted confidence, his arm intentionally grazing her as they exchanged greetings. His smirk was arrogant and proprietorial. He genuinely believed his position was unassailable. Then Diana appeared, his spouse, accompanying me. She possessed a striking luminosity, derived not from her attire, but from the absolute, immediate hush that enveloped him when his eyes fell upon her. It was akin to witnessing a fissure propagate across a sheet of glass. His arrogant smirk instantly dissolved into profound bewilderment, then naked apprehension. My wife's hand rigidly tightened around her stemware. The majority of the attendees remained unaware of the full context, but they instinctively sensed the disturbance. A palpable alteration in the atmosphere, a deepening fracture in the social construct. I had no obligation to make any announcement. That is the fundamental strength of precision. Silence inflicts greater collateral damage than any outburst. Diana subtly inclined toward me as we navigated the crowded space, offering a quiet laugh at a comment I made, and with every instance I observed my wife's gaze darting toward. Desperate, seeking a point of control that had vanished, her former partner attempted to draw his wife aside, whispering urgently, pleading, but she dismissed. Him with the effortless detachment of a woman who had finally ceased to be an afterthought. The scene was perfectly executed because it was not a fabrication. It was an uncomfortable truth finally manifesting in the public sphere. By the time the final course was presented, the initial quiet murmurs had coalesced into significant conversational currents. Who is that woman? What is her relationship with him? Why does he appear so agitated? Why is my wife suddenly so pale, lips tightly compressed, her veneer of composure dissolving? The rehearsal dinner became an immediate legend that evening, not due to the cuisine or the orations, but because every person present experienced the catastrophic implosion of a secret, exposed without a single audible word. Subsequently, when the attendees had significantly dispersed, Hannah cornered me. Her voice was afflicted with a tremble, her eyes burning with contained fury. What is the meaning of this action? I observed her, truly comprehended her, and for the first time in years, my emotional state was one of absolute clarity. I was cognizant. I responded plainly. I was fully aware of the requirement you imposed upon me. You desired his attendance. I desired hers. The scales are now perfectly balanced. Her respiration became profoundly labored. Fury and stark terror inextricably linked in her vocal cords. She desperately wished to emit a scream, but was strategically unable. Not in this venue! Not with residual observers still present, with lingering inquiries circulating. That was the central brilliance. I had no requirement to overtly dismantle her. I merely needed to permit her to self-destruct under the overwhelming burden of her own deliberate choices. The wedding ceremony proceeded as scheduled. The resulting photographs will forever carry the distinct shadows of that evening. My wife standing adjacent to her former partner, meticulously maintaining a pretense. His wife standing beside me, undeniably radiant. And every individual present that night will perpetually recall the palpable tension, the evident fissures, the enduring narrative of the rehearsal. Dinner where silence articulated the most damning disclosure. I hold no regrets, neither for the methodical planning, nor for the precise execution, nor for the intrinsic satisfaction of witnessing her facade crumble before the entire audience. She was attempting to impress. Some transgressions necessitate a reckoning involving intense fire and explosive rage. Mine demanded calculated precision, and when I stated, I am fully cognizant, I was delivering the absolute truth. I comprehended betrayal. I comprehended the formidable nature of silence. And I comprehended a retribution so acutely delivered it could be misconstrued as an act of pure clemency